Tell me a little bit more. I always ask everyone that comes on here, I ask them, a little bit about their backstory. How did they get into nursing? What it is that draw them to it? And maybe more about this beautiful name. I keep messing it up. Gayatri? Like that?
Gayatri. Close.
Gayatri. See, I can't get it. Let me know. How did this name come about? Where is it from?
So the name Gayatri is a Sanskrit name. My birth name is Ali, so it's a lot simpler. Ali registered, but I was given this spiritual name back in March, actually. So it's relatively new. But it basically is the divine feminine in her center, where she's strong, and in that strength of who she is and what she's doing, and that feminine quality, she can be a big support to others, she can care, she can give, she doesn't lose herself in caring for others, but because there's that strength and that centeredness. So it's a beautiful thing to aspire to. That's usually when, in my community, when we get a spiritual name, it's both something that's kind of an innate quality that the person resonates with, but also something that we need to aspire and work towards.
I see.
So yeah, so that is where Gayatri comes from.
Gayatri, I love it. That's so unique. For sure. I definitely understand. Like, there's something in a name. There's power in your name, and that's awesome that you got to change it and really find who you are, and then, like you said, work towards it. I really, really like that. Yeah. Fallon actually has a unique meaning behind it too that I never knew. So.
Oh, what does it mean?
Okay, so I found out last year it means leader, and I had no idea that it meant this at all. I've never looked it up, but I was struggling with my identity last year and finding who I wanted to be and what my impact was going to be in this world. And I felt like I had this God moment, and he was like, "Look up your name," and I finally found it. Out of 30 plus years, I never thought to look for it because it was so unique. And it's in Irish, it means leader. So I have to live up to that too, you know what I mean? Like, I want to aspire to that.
It's beautiful, yeah. And it's like every time you say, "My name's Fallon," or "My name's Gayatri," or someone says your name, it's like this affirmation of, I'm a leader. I'm this divine feminine strength.
Yes.
It's like that affirmation that we hear all day. So it's beautiful.
Yes. I love it. That's so true. Yes. So tell me, how did you get into nursing? How did you start this nurse journey, Lord? Because you started in labor delivery, right?
Yeah, I was a labor and delivery nurse right after school. I went right directly into labor and delivery. And before that, during nursing school, I was working in a psychiatric unit for a little while, and then I was also working in a med-surg surgical kind of floor. But really my passion was really the labor and delivery. But yeah, I think, when I look back at why nursing, I always come back to this this image I had in my mind, like when I was young, of hearing about Florence Nightingale, and always seeing that, she offered in such a dark time in Europe's history and in the hospital setting, and there's a lot of suffering going on, and she would just patients would say that she would just walk through, and it just felt like there was this light, that there was this hope coming through the ward. And just kind of having that image, I was like, oh, I want to be that light. I want to be that comfort to people. I want to be able to give in that kind of way. And so naturally it seemed like nursing was how I could express that And, you know, for a while it was, you know, I am not currently practicing on the floor right now as a nurse, but I'm kind of switching now more into this other way of service in, you know, really offering support to our own nurses. I know how hard, how difficult the job is. And then, you know, this last year we've had this pandemic, which has just been, you know, so much tragedy and loss and stress. And then you mix that with, you know, the confinement of we can't socialize as we normally do, and you know, release some of the stress from the job. You know, you kind of have to just come home and just, you can't really go anywhere or do anything with it. And in an outward way. And so seeing, you know, for me, meditation and yoga and these different tools have been a way of, you know, working with that stress, working with the anxiety, the sadness, the things that, you know, I've experienced in my own life, and then, you know, in the profession. It gives you a way to work with it and to not just hold on to it, but, you know, process it, let it go. So then, you know, you can come back the next day and you're not holding on to all of this sadness and this pain and feeling, you know, loss of hope. And so that's kind of where I'm at, of where I feel inspired to be able to share with others who are, you know, working during this time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, for sure. You know, our great lady, you know, you were saying she has the lamp. That's what she always has. Florence Nightingale. Sorry, my mind went blank, but she always had that lamp that really, like in the pictures and everything, you'll see her walking around, and she was like that light. Wow, I honestly didn't know about her until like I got into nursing school. So that's great that you know knew about her and were inspired, because you know, like we forget, you know, as we forget how much nursing has grown, like how much impact nursing has had, you know, throughout the years, throughout, you know, in our culture, you know, and everything. So that's interesting that you would bring her up as a light, for sure. I get that. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We're such big lights to others. We're always bringing the peace, the healing, all of that. And I think it's great that you're just, you know, trying to give back to others. So you mentioned now that you're not in labor and delivery anymore, and you've kind of made a pivot. Tell me about how that came about. What was the breaking point, or the rising point, the boiling point? You know, what brought you to making this shift? Like, okay, I love being a nurse. I love, you know, labor and delivery, but what made you want to get into what you're doing now? And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I guess the little bit longer version, you know, I'll just share when I first came to find meditation, because it kind of answers then your question here. I was actually at working in a psychiatric unit. It was a veterans hospital, so it was all war veterans, and you know, most of them had PTSD, and not knowing the tools to manage, or not having any tools to manage the stress and the things that they had seen and done in a way in war. You know, a lot of times they resort to alcohol, drugs, because no one really teaches you a lot of these like tools and strategies to work with stress in a healthy way. So, you know, all of them were, you know, in this psychiatric unit, and it just felt like it was such for me, a mirror that I couldn't avoid, because I had to go every day. I was working there, and I'm hearing these stories and their experience and how they were just stuffing these emotions and this pain, and trying to numb themselves from it. And, everything that they were sharing, I could just resonate so much in my own heart. I never served in the military, but I had my own experience, at an earlier age with trauma and, not knowing how to process it, not knowing, how to talk to people about it. I just suppressed it. I just shoved it down and just tried like it, didn't exist. But, of course, we know that that doesn't work. And we can try numbing with substances and things, food. But, at the end of the day, it's still there. And so, I was at a point in my life where I saw kind of where my life was about to go if I wasn't going to get any help and deal with this. So I found a lessons in meditation book, and I started meditating, and and then I started bringing it to work with me, and I would do it with some of my patients. And I'll never forget this day. This gentleman, he was saying that he always had this voice, like a recorder in his mind, and it was, "I'm a monster." And he said that had been there for like 20 years, and just all the time, just kind of playing in the background. And you could see that he felt that, just even the way he would just kind of slunch over, and he was just, you could feel he felt that about himself. And, the one day we were meditating, and, maybe about 15 minutes, and he just had like the biggest smile, and there was just that light to him, and he was like upright, and he looked confident, and like, you could feel like there was forgiveness that he had in himself. And he goes, the voice finally quieted. I didn't hear it. It was silent. And just seeing that in him, and seeing in my own personal experience the benefits that meditation was having, it gave me hope. It gave me inspiration. And it just felt like it was that light bringing me out of a really dark place that I was in, that I didn't know how else to deal with it. And it, it gave an answer. So that was kind of how I started meditating. And, I continued my meditation practice, but life, you get busy, and, then I was, graduating and moving, and then a new relationship, and just life took me kind of out of that practice. And I wasn't making it a priority, and I wasn't really taking my own self-care into, as much consideration as I should. And, I started to slip back into, kind of that negative space that I was in before. And I realized that it was really starting to affect my ability to give effectively as a nurse. I was really anxious, and I was not confident. I wasn't willing, or I didn't have the confidence to advocate for my patients as I wanted to, and I knew I should. I was really I was starting to like close my heart off, because I was just trying to like protect myself. And so I just saw it was really, maybe not so much outwardly, but I could feel in my heart that I wasn't being the best nurse that I could. And I couldn't care in the way that I really wanted to. And that I knew I needed to take care of myself and really heal, in order to give fully to others in that type of service. So I actually quit my job, sold everything, got a backpack. I'd never been camping before, bought all the gear. I think I had like 80 pounds in my backpack, which I quickly learned, like, I can't carry around 80 pounds through the mountains. So I like threw away half of my stuff and, dropped it down to like the bare essentials. I think I had, 2 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, and like 2 pairs of socks, and that was basically it. And a book, autobiography of a yogi. And I just was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I really don't know how to camp or hike, but I just feel like I have to do this, and I have to go on this journey and find, find this healing and this deeper spiritual life. And so then that's how I ended up in California at the Nanda meditation retreat. And it just gave me that place to really, just to really dive deep into teachings of yoga and meditation, and foster that healing process. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful couple years that I spent there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an amazing story. You went from A to, I'm in the back, I'm in the mountains with my backpack. Girl, that's gold right there. I've always said, like, get my backpack and I'm ready to go wherever. But I feel you. So I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about when you talked about, so seeing people with PTSD as a young nurse, that just like resonated with you. And I totally get that. I mean, I was listening to a podcast the other day. Chris Christino is the nurse network leader, the nursing leaders network, and she was talking about how, PTSD and this like moral injury, people that have experienced, some type of distress. I feel like nurses, we have that, type of PTSD. We live with that. And I feel like your story, just even as a new nurse, like you still resonated with it. You were still able to identify it it sounds like from your own traumas as well. Like, and it comes from like, I feel like this place where we're like we get like, injured somehow. And so like, sometimes when those emotions come out in nursing, like we can't really let them out. Like we have to stuff them back in, like you were saying, like some of those war veterans and those people that were in your psych facility. So I definitely can see how it was, even as a new nurse, you were able to still see like, okay, this is not, we can't just deal with this just with medications and, things like that. There needs to be like actual resources, practices, like the meditation. So I get that for sure. Like, I feel like as nurses, we can go through a lot where we see these traumas, all these things, and then we tend to step it back in, and then it just like it bursts at the seams sometimes. Till we're like, I'm grabbing a backpack and I'm going to the mountains. I'm selling all my stuff, like your own story.
Yeah. And like, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, do you feel like that? Is that something like how you feel like maybe some trauma that just triggered you over time? Like, do you feel like something like that?
Yeah, I think it's, we look at what's happened this past year with the pandemic, and, we have healthcare providers on the front lines of this pandemic, of this disease, and it's, in a sense, like, you're almost like going to battle every day, and, there's death and there's tragedy, and, is this ever going to end? Like, all of these feelings, a lot, I imagine, would be in some ways very similar to, a situation like going away to war, and just, talking with a lot of friends and, other nurses that have been reaching out, teaching meditation to them. That's what they keep over and over again sharing. I just feel like, I'm having severe anxiety and panic attacks and nightmares, and I feel like I just have like, all I'm thinking about is death, because that's all I'm seeing around me. And, that's the symptoms of PTSD, all of these things that these nurses are really experiencing right now. And I know in nursing school, I did not learn any tools or techniques of, how do you deal with the emotional side of nursing? How do you deal with
Yeah,
loss?
they call it burnt out. They're saying burnt out. And I've been using that phrase as well, like a lot, burnt out, getting burnt out. But it's so much deeper. It's like, this moral injury that we experience. Like when you see something, when you feel like you didn't act in time, or you witnessed something that disrupts your personal values, your judgment, your personal judgment, and it affects you and how you react going forward, like a PTSD, like you said. And so I feel like those reactions, this compassion fatigue and this burnt out, it's so much deeper. It's more of an injury, and we can't just heal it with just like a vacation, 3-4 days off. Like we need real tools. And so I'm so glad that you're doing this meditation, teaching, and also the yoga. Tell me more about that. How do you help your clients? What does that look like?
So it's very individual. I think a lot of times just when I speak with people, it's really, I think, offering friendship, first of all, and just support, and just to share you're not alone, first of all. And nursing is hard. This job is really difficult, and what you've experienced this past year is really difficult. And so, these feelings that are coming up, they're real and they're valid, and we have to acknowledge that they're there. But it doesn't have to be, it's just part of the job. Just shut it up,
Sorry,
it down.
I didn't catch that last part.
So I was just saying, we have to validate and acknowledge that we have these experiences and these feelings, and the stress and the worry and all these things that come with the job. We have to acknowledge that they're there. That they're
Get real. Let's talk about it.
We can't just ignore them. We have to be able to, talk about them or work with them, acknowledge them, so then we can actually do something about it. Otherwise, we're just like, oh, it's just part of the job, like work to the weekend, the pay raise will maybe make me happier, or deal with it. And it's like we're gonna just lose all sense of compassion, why, the inspiration of why we wanted to be a nurse, if we're burnt out, if we just are emotionally taxed where we can't give anymore. And so just trying to come back, I think, into this, remembering why we wanted to be a nurse, when there was inspiration and there was hope and there was joy and, job satisfaction. And, how can we come back to that as best we can? And I think a lot of it is, doing some sort of self-care outside, getting outside in nature, meditating, using, a lot of breath work. Pranayama helps you work with breath and energy. These are super simple things that you can do that are really, really effective at just letting things go, or even just, attitude, changing your attitude. And, we can't always control our environment and the people that we work with, or the coworkers, or, the patients that we have, or their families. We can't control how they act in our situations a lot of times, but, we can control how we respond. Do we react? Do we hold on to it? Do we get angry and frustrated, and then do we let it affect our whole day, our whole shift? Or do we just let it go? I'm not holding on to that. Yeah, so simple, and we can just use these tools all day, throughout the day, just to not hold on to the stuff that, isn't isn't helpful, isn't, helpful to us, to our patients, to our families and friends. So it's really, sharing in that way, and then being, what are people interested in learning? What do they resonate with? Is there, are they looking more for stress and physical stress management, or do they have connection with God or Divine Mother, and how do they bring spirituality into their practices? And wherever people are at, there's a lot of tools that you can use to help with and deal, in positive ways with the stress, and find a lot more fulfillment in your job and in life.
That's great. So it sounds like a lot of assessments and planning, things that we already kind of as nurses do. Right? So seeing what you like, what are you open to? I get that. That's awesome. That's amazing work. And I could just listen to you all night. Your voice is so calming and just perfect for meditation. So I have a question. So what would you say to someone that maybe has an argument? I've heard this, and I've been guilty of it as well. Okay, Fallon, or okay, Gayatri. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Gayatri. There
you go.
Gayatri. I can't do meditation. I cannot quiet my mind. I don't understand how meditation, I can't do it. It seems too stressful. What is a meditation? And it seems hard. I can't quiet. I can't sit down for a few minutes. I'm busy. I'm working. I take care of my mom. I take care of my kids. What would you say to somebody that has that type of argument when they hear meditation and yoga?
That it's an excuse.
Come on, let's be real.
And yeah, in seriousness, it's an excuse. And I've done it myself. I've done it many times. Oh, I'm too busy today, or your mind can come up with hundreds of excuses. But just like anything else, it's, what are our habits? And if we don't have the habit of meditation, it's hard. It feels really foreign to us. We think, I can't do that. But, if we put in some energy, if we have, the inspiration and, taking the inspiration with our will, our energy to say, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes every morning because I know it's going to be good for me. I know, and then whatever their reason for wanting to develop a practice, and just really commit to that, I think it's 21 days, I think they say is what creates to form the habit. Do it for 21 days and just see. We know in nursing so much of it is testing and learning and research, and it's you're doing your own personal research. You can even have a log where you can be Monday I meditated and this is how I felt, and then Tuesday, and just see, commit yourself for that 3 weeks, that 21 days, and I guarantee that you'll feel something. Each experience, each person is different, what they experience, but it might be more energy, it might be more peace, finally allowing the mind to just quiet the mind for a few minutes, whatever it may be, but just experiment for yourself and see what it does. I know for me there was a big shift when I first started meditating. It was this idea of, I feel I feel more peace, I feel calmness, my mind, the restlessness of the mind is finally quiet. I like that feeling. I want more of it. And then, it shifted eventually to this idea of when I didn't meditate that day, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel, in alignment. Things just kind of seemed clunky throughout the day. My interactions were kind of awkward, or I would react a little bit, and so I really noticed the shift of when I don't do this, life is not as good. And that really helped me really form that practice of this is something I just have to do every day. And maybe, every meditation I might not feel that joy or that peace that I want to feel, but over time, collectively it's having effect on my mind, on my energy, on my body and my spirit. And you will see a difference over time and change. So I would just suggest for people, if you're really interested, try it. And, we can work. There's a lot of tools to help with habit forming and, dismissing those thoughts of, oh, I can't sit still or I can't do this. We have a comeback for every one of those excuses that we can make that are true.
That's that critter brain.
Yeah.
That critter brain that tries to keep you safe and in the same place and just, the same and just what's comfortable. And, it's going to just always try to combat anything new or anything for self-development, self-growth. There's always this little thought in your mind that just wants to keep you in the same place. So I get that. And you have to fight back. You have to check your mindset daily. That's what I'm always saying. I'm like, check your mindset, get it together before you can work out, eat healthier, meditate, yoga, whatever. You have to get your mind straight. And it takes practice. It's not, I still do every day. Get it together, Fallon. Come on, so
Yeah,
it's part of the journey.
Yeah, and it, as you're saying, it takes some energy, it takes some willpower, but
willpower.
That's the beauty, we have willpower for a reason, and are we going to use it to better ourselves and find fulfillment and joy and creativity, or are we just going to I'm going to be lazy, or I'm going to be, kind of stuck in this.
Stuck. I want to just wallow where I'm at. I'm good.
Yeah. So it's your choice. It's our choice.
Oh my goodness, I'm laughing because that's me. I used to be a wallower. I would just be like, boo hoo. I want to just feel all the pain. I want to look at it. I want to feel it, stroke it. It's my best friend. Yeah. Instead of really getting out of my comfort zone. And but once I was able to shift and pivot, and it was a powerful move. So and it takes some willpower for sure, but I'm better for it, and I feel that's definitely helped you in your own wellness journey.
Yeah. I had a friend and teacher. He's been a meditator for 50 plus years, and someone asked him once, have you gained any spiritual powers from 50 years of meditating? And he kind of was like, spiritual powers, and just paused for a moment. He's like, I have developed the power that I can be happy no matter what. And it
no
just,
matter what.
Yeah, and just that attitude, it really struck me hard. We have the choice every day and every moment. Am I gonna wallow? Am I gonna think? Am I gonna allow myself to get stuck in a mood or a negative attitude, or am I gonna say no, shake it off, try again, move forward, find joy, find happiness in this moment? even when things are difficult. Things aren't always
Yeah.
easy, but it's our attitude that we come into life with um, that has the power to really determine, you know, do we have a happy life? Are we joyful? Or are we just stuck and sad? And so
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
the beauty of working and applying that willpower to meditate. It takes that energy and it's that concentration on will of something that takes that energy, and so then we can apply it into our everyday life.
That's the key.
I'm going to use that
Yes.
willpower to choose happiness, and then when we practice that in everyday life, it helps us in our meditation practice. So you see, the meditation isn't just the 5 minutes or the 20 minutes or an hour, however long you're meditating. It's all day. It's these attitudes.
I love that. I love that. It's definitely like a tool that you can use and whip it out. Like, okay, look, this is a horrible shift. This is a crappy day. But having that mindfulness, that preparation from, like you said, your attitude, the way you go throughout your day, it's just gonna help you bounce back faster. Like, okay, yes, I'm down and out right now, but I'm gonna choose happiness. I'm gonna choose joy in this moment. And I feel like that mental immunity, it builds up like this immunity to things. And I was listening to this other podcast. I love podcasts. And they were talking about building this mental immunity, just like any other muscle in our body. Like how you were saying, it takes 21 days. Yeah, it takes 21 days. And then you have to continue the practice, keep it going. Just like any muscle that you would work out, your brain, your mental immunity is the same way. So that's awesome. Tell us, I just wanted to clarify some things with meditation. So what exactly do you mean by meditating, quieting your mind, mindfulness? What are these similar terms? Are they interchangeable? And what is it that you use in your current practice?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I try.
Meditation, I would define meditation for me as, withdrawing our awareness outside of ourselves and coming within. We are taught, from a very early, from beginning of life, to engage in the world using our senses. We smell, we taste, we touch, we hear. And so it's reversing that, instead of our energy going outward into the world, we're bringing our awareness back into our own center, into our higher selves. And, in that process of, stilling the body and then stilling the mind, we find this place of calmness, of stillness, that helps us really to tap into, higher realities of, what is our true nature. And, those are, those are qualities of divine love, of joy, of peace, of expansion. These are our innate soul qualities, and we forget that we have these within ourselves. We get caught in the story and the drama of life, and it takes us into the story with the senses, and we start we forget, I'm peace, I'm joy, I'm expansive love. And so that process of meditation, it's just letting go of the outward story and body and personality and all of that, and it's just, who am I really? What am I really? And
that's where those affirmations come in, right? Like those.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful part with the affirmations, because you're affirming to yourself that you are these aspects of wisdom, of power, of joy, of courage. There's so many, but it's these higher aspects of ourselves, and we're affirming that we are those. And the more we affirm that, we know no matter what we affirm and think, our energy follows it. So if we're, have negative self-talk, we're gonna get caught in that negativity, and we're gonna attract those things. But if we're affirming positivity, I am courage, I am strength, I am wisdom, we start drawing to us that magnetism, and we live it. We become it in our life. Yeah, we're living examples of it, and so it's a beautiful, beautiful process. And for me personally, my because there's so many different types of meditation and different paths. I have a spiritual guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. He was a great Indian saint that came over from India to America, and on this mission in the 20s to really bring the idea of yoga and living right attitude and living a life for God, and he brought it to the West. And how can we not become like the Eastern, but how can we integrate in our life these attitudes, these positive qualities, to find deeper meaning, to find deeper understanding in life. And so he brought certain techniques of meditation that I practice.
And are you going to share one with us? I'm excited.
Yes.
To be a part of it. Yay! A special treat. Awesome.
Yeah, so we
can
do a guided meditation.
Okay, wonderful. I'm super excited for this. Let me know. What do we need to do? I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so first of all, really important thing is being comfortable, like physically. That's usually a lot of, you're talking about, barriers to why people think they can't meditate, and physically being uncomfortable is a really big one. So that's when yoga, yoga postures and asana really can come in handy to help, help with some physical tension, relax the body, or simple stretching can help. But for sake of time, we won't do that today, but that is definitely a good thing to do. But also just finding.
I have to get you back on to share a yoga stretch. I do my stretches too, but a yogi stretch, that would be great.
Yes,
we'd love that.
They're wonderful. But a really helpful thing is just even your posture. So you are sitting in a chair, probably like most of us. I'm actually on the floor on a cushion, but however you're sitting, you just want to make sure that you're having, good alignment. So you want your spine nice and tall. You can kind of imagine like there's like a little string from the base of your spine, just lengthening, really opening up the vertebrae, feeling that lengthening of the spine. And you'll naturally start to feel the chest opening up a little bit, becoming more receptive. You can even just slightly with the shoulders, pinching the shoulders together, and you'll feel that opening of the chest a bit. And then a big one, a lot of times we hold tension in our shoulders, and sometimes we'll even be like this. So we really want the shoulders relaxed. We can even like scrunch them up and then just drop them. And just really feel that relaxation. Our shoulders carry a lot of tension. And then you're just going to place your hands, palm facing upwards, just on your thighs. And so then what I showed you before, we can do that, is a really nice exercise. It's called tensing and relaxing with the double breath. So it's a quick double inhalation through the nose. So like, and then we'll exhale through the mouth. And when we do that, when we're inhaling, we're gonna like, you can even like take the hands and squeeze the whole body and really build tension. So you are inhaling, building the tension, holding it, and then exhale, let it go. You can do that like 3 times, 5 times, however many as you want. But 3 to 5 is nice. And that just helps us let go of any physical tension that we know is there, and maybe why it's there. Maybe it's someone that's been bugging us during the shift or a difficult situation. But then a lot of times we just, we carry things that we don't necessarily consciously know. So this just helps letting, all of that physical, mental, emotional tension go. And so this is a great tool you can actually use all day on the floor. I used it many times.
So it's like,
yep, so building tension and then exhale through the mouth. And just with the exhale, really like let that second exhale really draw out, just expelling all of the breath, all of the tension. Yeah,
too fast?
that's perfect.
Hold it longer.
There you go. And you can even let that exhale, you can even let go a little bit longer, like, and just really then like feel the relaxation.
Yeah.
There you go. So this is a good one I used to do like all the time on the floor, like walking down or running out of a patient's room. It lets it go. So then every interaction, the next interaction, you're not coming in with this tension or this attitude. It's just, don't hold on to it. Let it go. It doesn't affect me. So that's a really good one you can use in everyday life. And it's also a really good one just to prepare the body and the mind a little bit for meditation. So now we have that, we can start a guided practice. So we have, that good posture, and we're going to close our eyes. So you can close your eyes, and then just start bringing your awareness, your gaze at the point between the eyebrows. Some may, in yoga, have heard it called the spiritual eye, but it's also the seat of our higher awareness. We know it's the point in the brain that we have higher functioning, creativity, compassion, our higher levels of thinking and thought are at this place. So just by bringing our awareness there, we're helping ourselves to tune into higher realities, higher level of energy and awareness. So let's just start beginning to notice the breath. We'll begin with a practice of equal count breathing. So we're gonna, for a count of 4, we're gonna inhale through the nose, and then we'll hold the breath for a count of 4, and then we'll exhale again through the nose for a count of 4. So let's just do that for a few rounds. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, holding the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling again through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's continue this for another 2 rounds. You can keep it for a count of 4, or if you want to go to 6 or 8, wherever feels comfortable, there's no tension. But whichever count you use, just make the inhaling, the holding, and the exhaling the same. And then when you're finished with that last round, we're gonna not try to control the breath in any way. Just allow the breath to flow in and out through the nose, however it wants to flow. And just notice wherever in the nose that you feel the breath coming in and out. Bringing your awareness to that point, watching the movement. And just like the ocean waves, we can't control the flow of the ocean, the waves. We can only watch, be an observer. So allowing the breath to come in and out whenever it needs to, naturally, without any tension. And we're going to add a mantra with our breath. So as we inhale, mentally repeat, I am. And as you exhale, repeat, stillness. Inhale, I am. And exhale, stillness. Feel with every breath and with each mantra that you are absorbing yourself, becoming part of this stillness. And with your next inhalation, you're just going to gently curl the right forefinger towards the palm of your hand. And with the exhalation, relax the finger. This just helps us to connect deeper with the breath, letting go of any thoughts, just bringing our energy, our awareness into our own center. So we'll just continue this practice for a few more moments, watching the breath as it comes in and out, and affirming, I am stillness. I am stillness. If your mind begins to wander without any judgment, without giving it any energy, just come back to your breath, back to your mantra. I am stillness. You may feel as you go deeper into this stillness that the breath begins to slow down. There may even be moments where there's natural pauses in the breath. Just enjoy that stillness. We're now going to drop this technique with a triple exhalation through the mouth. So we'll take a deep breath in and exhale through the mouth for 3, letting out. And then just breathing again whenever you need to. But now we won't use the mantra or watch the breath, but just bring your awareness to the point between the eyebrows. With your concentration at this point, visualize yourself coming to a lake at nighttime. You can see on the surface of the lake, reflected above you, the moon. But there's ripples in the water. Because of those ripples, the reflection is not pure. These ripples are like our thoughts. The larger the ripples, the more restless our thoughts are. But with relaxation, we can gradually calm those ripples of thought. Calm the ripples on the lake and find complete stillness. As your breath continues to slow down, your mind slows down as well, and those ripples become smaller. Your mind becomes more and more peaceful, until finally those ripples completely disappear. Visualize the lake free of all ripples. And just like the lake, when it's perfectly still and smooth, it reflects perfectly the light of the moon overhead. So does our mind when it's completely still. It perfectly reflects the infinite joy within us. Tuning in to stillness and joy. Let these qualities radiate to all body parts, permeating your entire being. And as we end this meditation, let's feel this aura of peace and joy radiating out from the heart center, and ready to embrace every person, every situation for the rest of our week. It can be helpful to feel that you're surrounded and protected by a bubble of peace, where nothing and no one can disturb this inner peace. And if anything or anyone starts to ripple that peace, just come back to this feeling that you feel now, this stillness. Come back to this experience of your true self, and affirm to yourself, I am stillness. I am peace. Om. Peace. Amen. And so whenever you're ready, you can gently come back into the room and open your eyes.
Beautiful. Let's go there.
How are you doing?
Quietly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just feel like so radiating love, peace, joy, strength.